Welcome back around to theCUBE's live coverage here at Supercomputing 2025. I'm Jeff Denworth, Dave Vellante. It's where all the action's happening on AI infrastructure, and one of the hottest topics is networking and storage, and this next guest is the co-founder of one of the hottest companies in the storage area, pioneering the single namespace, pioneering kind of the concept of data platforms versus storage. Jeff Denworth is here, co-founder of Vast Data. Great to see you on theCUBE again. I know you're super busy and taking time out of doing deals and coming on. Appreciate you taking the time.
I always love seeing you guys.
Deals? What kind of deals are we talking about here?
You guys got some
hard news. I mean, it just hit the wire.
5 minutes ago, we were reading it as we came on. You had great news last week, CoreWeave, Google. This week, give us the hard news, just straight up. Take the microphone.
So today we announced a very strategic partnership that we've created with Microsoft and the Microsoft Azure team. The objective is to basically bring all of the goodness of what we call the Vast AI operating system to Microsoft customers. We've been collaborating with them for, I'd say, the better part of about 2 years now. And the objective is to basically open up data access to all of the customers' data sets for all the different compute platforms that Microsoft offers, extend that to customer data centers using Boost capabilities from Microsoft so you can build a unified, federated, and hybrid cloud. And we're super excited about it because we get to partner with a bunch of different product teams and create AI integrations in ways that we've done with customers around the world. And it's
Jeff,
exciting.
Dave and I have been talking about this operating system and large-scale systems about a year before you guys launched, and we've been following you guys. I gave you some props on the intro, but the reality is...
That's where we got the idea for. We were watching theCUBE all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure Ren copied the CUBE. I'm going to build
That's
that.
all we did for the first year.
Yeah, well, hey.
I mean, a lot of people watch the CUBE videos and get
Thank
ideas.
God for the CUBE.
But you guys talk about this OS, but one of the hottest topics now, we're in our third year where this is kind of mainstream, is the software stack.
Yep.
The news that you just talked about is porting the software stack to Azure. So it's a whole nother environment. What does it actually mean? Because as these systems get built, we've talked about multi-cloud, but now you have these large-scale distributed computing systems. What's it mean for the software stack to be on Azure, for Vast, and for the customers?
So, the fundamental principle of our kind of business plan is that we want customers to be able to benefit from Vast wherever they want to compute. And that starts by supporting all the different platforms that customers may want to compute on, being able to put our software natively on there. Early days, we built a reference architecture that you could basically put in about 7 different places, and that was it. And over the last 4 years, the company is really a software company. We've opened up the platform support so that we can be much more general in terms of where we deploy. Now, that's the kind of the fundamental principle, and now customers can get file and object and database and vector database and event streaming services and agent deployment services next year on Azure. But the really nice part kicks in when we do 2 things with the types of partnerships that we're trying to create with the Microsoft team. Is one, better platform engineering so that we co-design things that express the capabilities of our software as best as they can be. And second is platform integration with the other first-party services that Microsoft has, so customers get a much more holistic data experience as they kind of work across the different Azure products and services.
So last year at GTC, Jensen sort of laid out the 3 vectors of opportunity for AI. He said AI in the cloud, AI in enterprise, and AI physical AI, robots and edge.
Yep.
2 years ago, maybe it was even more, Jeff, 3 years ago, you guys were really knocking down the neo clouds. You obviously did very, very well there, given you're purpose built for AI. As we go into enterprise, what are you seeing? Because it seems like it's a different world. When you talk to the neo clouds, and as you well know, they're working those GPUs, they're lit up, they're really efficient in terms of their utilization. Enterprises, they're still learning. And now this deal you have with Microsoft, all about hybrid, you just talked about. So how do you see that enterprise AI adoption going? What's that going to look like? Where are we today? How long is it going to take them to sort of get that muscle memory?
So the first thing that I would say is that when you see like these very large projects that the large cloud vendors or the neo clouds are doing, typically that's an AI lab that has the conviction and the capital to go off and just start running from day one.
And the skills, the people. Yeah.
But if you do it by kind of count of number of customers, it's very obvious to us at least that enterprises are overwhelmingly the largest user of AI cloud services, right? And so if I think about Microsoft in particular, I can't go into a customer meeting today where there isn't some sort of endeavor going on with some Microsoft AI product that they're working on. Same is largely true for Google. We announced a partnership with them last week.
Yeah.
They're doing great jobs basically building proving grounds and providing higher level capabilities and bringing the models and everything that you need from a toolkit perspective to basically just start running, or at least start experimenting so that you can run. And then I think a lot of people conceptualize this idea that the enterprises are going slow because they themselves aren't building 100,000 GPU clusters in their own data centers. But that's not a core competence to a lot of these organizations. They're not IT organizations by design, unlike the neoclouds that's their purpose in life. And so as a result, a lot of them are just consuming different cloud services, and that's one of the reasons that we wanted to partner with Microsoft, because there's all these customers that we're working with. They're like, here's where we're computing, either you're there or you're not.
But they're trying to solve a different problem in the enterprise. We were talking about it earlier. They're trying to get outcomes, not necessarily monetize their GPU clusters, right? And that's hard because you got to harmonize your data. You're saying, no, it's not that hard, or what's your?
I think a customer of CoreWeave or Lambda is also trying to get outcomes. They're trying to build a new product and then deploy that as an inference service. So, at some point, everybody converges to that same end state where I'm taking a fine-tuned AI model and then I'm using it for some sort of internal or external service.
I guess what I would say, and tell me, because you're deep into this, today the revenue monetization is, ChatGPT users, subscriptions.
Yes.
Okay, great. The future revenue opportunity that you're talking about, which is the biggest TAM, I think who knows about physical AI? That could be the biggest of all TAMs, but it's going to take a while. But those customers, they have to do certain things to get their data ready.
Sure.
They got to harmonize that data. They got a lot higher governance bar, et cetera. So are you feeling like, well, which parts of the enterprise are there today? I mean, big banks maybe?
Of course.
But the mainstream enterprises, by my research, aren't. But you have a different observation space.
You referenced ChatGPT. Who's buying that? With 50, 100,000 seat license contracts.
Consumers, and you're right, a bunch they're delivered through APIs. I mean, that. Do you see that as the mainstream business model?
We see it extremely large. Take some of the more popular AI models. Take Gemini, Claude.
Sorry to interrupt, but they think they've said a million enterprise customers, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's a very vibrant enterprise business underneath some of these commercial models like Cohere and Anthropic and OpenAI that they're selling to enterprises. And it comes back to what I said earlier. Not every enterprise wants to become an IT organization. Now, there are certain reasons that people, endeavor to kind of build their own models because they can't get something that they've found in the commercial space or the open source space. And then there's reasons why they build the infrastructure for either cost or security reasons that they can't go and use some shared cloud infrastructure. But the number one mandate at the board level within an enterprise is try to figure out all the possible ways to get acceleration and efficiency from AI. And if that's true, SaaS services are the first place you go to start that mission because you can move quickest.
Yeah, and the data's pretty good. Right? I mean, so generally
then the data is the other consideration. How do I bring my data to these models? And
I think to your earlier point, I mean, a lot of the headlines are all the CapEx that we're spending. Having said that, we're probably going to spend about cumulatively $4 trillion in CapEx between now and 2030, and maybe we'll generate half of that in revenue, but that's still $2 trillion, which is about the size of the enterprise IT business in total.
It's crazy.
Right? And then at some point, it's going to cross over, but it'll probably take the better part of a decade to catch up to that initial spend.
It's kind of the classic R&D and monetization model, just at levels of scale that you've never seen before.
Right, and then presumably when it crosses over, we're going to see levels that we've never seen before. That's the bet that we're all making, right?
You start measuring productivity gains in terms of GDP movements. That's the only place that type of money comes from.
Jeff,
right.
talk about the neo clouds, because Jay, you brought that up. You guys have some CoreWeave expansion going on. Google Cloud, you mentioned that.
One of the first billion-dollar agreements to ever be announced in our space, as best as we know. We don't see business like that typically done.
I think maybe one other. Palantir, I think, had one with the government.
$1 billion contract?
With the government, I think.
Just software? I'm not sure.
I think they did. I think it was for the. Well, no. There were services. There were services in there. No, you're right. You're right. There were services in there.
All right. So billion dollar contracts. You guys have
I know you a beer.
We'll see how that plays out. We'll see. We'll be covering that.
No,
We'll
but
see if they pay all
right.
that
Jeff's
money.
right.
We do it the
Oh, you're right. There were services involved there.
We'll see.
and at times
Touche.
infrastructure. A lot of times that's hosted.
Yeah, and we'll see how that's recognized. CoreWeave expansion, Google Cloud traction, the Neo Clouds. I interviewed a company called Argentum. They're essentially an asset-light Neo Cloud aggregating marketplaces where people can just buy compute. This is a real market. I want to get your thoughts on why you have traction in these clouds, because, and then two, how do you see that being a service layer for enterprise? I talked to the Lambda folks. They're like, we're one API click away from getting compute. This is basically the model and the business side. Can you talk about the expansion, CoreWeave, Google Cloud, and this new crop of Neo Clouds or specialty clouds for AI service, AI compute?
I think it's interesting. So the first thing to consider is that, when we started in this space, we didn't start with teams that had very large engineering organizations that needed to go out and make partnerships with third-party software providers. And the reason that I would argue we're the gold standard in this space now is because we built something that can scale massively, that just works. And I can't overstate how important that is for organizations that are paying SLAs back to customers when their clusters fall down. Like you think about a 10, 20, 100,000 GPU cluster. When these things go bump in the night, the cash machine starts ringing, but in the opposite direction of what these cloud vendors hope for, right? Because they have to pay SLA penalties. And so it's actually funny, we're at supercomputing. I met a Neo Cloud that we had been chasing for years, just in the line for picking up my badge. And he looked at me and said, we're tired of what we're doing right now. We were wrong in dismissing you guys. We just need something that works. And something that just works, that can withstand the compute power of 100 or 300,000 GPUs is not something that comes easily in the space.
And that's nuance. I want to just unpack this. I think it's a huge point. The scale penalty is SLA, wrong direction. The upside potential is better performance.
You guys are going to interview somebody today, I can't tell you who their data platform vendor has told them that they might be able to get access to all of their data sometime in late December. And so these types of dynamics don't even play in a space where an AI lab just got $1 billion and they have to go turn that into an intelligent model that generates revenue. So this is why people first and foremost use us. The second reason that we're kind of a standard in this cloud is it's more than just storage. It's got integrated database services, event streaming services, vector database services.
Operating system.
It's and a runtime, and that's an operating system for AI. And if I think about a data monetization opportunity, nobody other than VAST gives you the best chance to go and take a set of data products and turn them into services that can really provide a comprehensive experience for either an AI lab or an enterprise customer.
Well, it's so important because you're depreciating your CapEx, pretty rapidly.
For training, that is true.
Okay,
But
okay, finish that thought because I want to ask you: is today's training infrastructure tomorrow's inference infrastructure?
I would say yes, but with the exception of a certain number of models that need to be fit into the bigger and bigger GPUs. But the second thing is, you said inference. There's a data processing element that fits around this. We work with one of the largest AI coders, and they have a reinforcement learning system that they've built that requires mass scale event processing. And they had to go build their own thing because they couldn't use Kafka and they didn't even know that we existed. And those are the types of stories that we're now starting to pull through these Neo Clouds saying, let's build a holistic AI service delivery platform that can scale to whatever proportions that you want, super efficient.
Yeah.
And that's the big differentiator with VAST.
There's one other thing for VAST that I want to bring up and test with you. So did you hear Satya when he was talking to Gerstner? He said, yeah, in the early days of software when we shipped it on CD-ROM, do you remember he said this, or maybe you didn't see it?
I didn't see it.
Well, you ship a software on CD-ROM, your marginal economics go to virtually zero.
Yes.
But he said with the cloud, we had cloud COGS. Okay, we all have seen that, the SaaS, the $1 trillion paradox, we heard that. And he said now with software in this AI era, it's different. We have big expenses, big CapEx, big, of course, OpEx as well. So the gross margin is actually, from a gross margin standpoint, not nearly as attractive as it used to be. It's not the case for VAST, right? Because you got pure software.
Pure software.
You don't have to incur
well over 90% gross margins.
Okay, so if you got over 90% gross margins on $1 billion software deal, you do the math, people. And so that's a different business model than what Satya was talking about, and it's actually unique juxtaposed to some of the software firms that are associated with AI.
It's true. It's true. We've built an extremely unique business model, cash flow positive, growing multi-100% per year, and gross margins that would be enviable of any company in the world.
It's super capital efficient relative to some
Your
of the others.
customers, so your customers, the neoclouds, coming back to them, you mentioned about the economics of bad decisions, event streaming. That's a great example of something at scale that if you go the wrong direction, only takes one piece of the puzzle to crash and everything kind of will go sideways. So that brings up the whole bubble conversation. So there's a lot of, because
That's a pretty liberal jump from one to the other.
well, I mean, if the neoclouds are going to spend all this CapEx and not get the software right, I mean, you could just say, I mean, the economics, but the overinvestment and the combination of operational efficiency, they do go hand in hand. What's your take on the bubble concerns? Because now, obviously, we feel it's kind of a overinflated market, but certainly not a bubble like the .com, which, by the way, that all happened anyway. What's your take?
Any indication of lower demand? I mean, is there?
Well, you think at the expense of offending a few of our partners, I'll say there are a few businesses that were never built to succeed in this space because they were not built for long-term, taking short-term contracts, focused on a specific GPU generation. And, as NVIDIA and other processor companies bring out new capability, they're kind of stuck trying to monetize that thing that they never locked in a customer for long term. That's a really, really dangerous business model. On the other hand, I've been talking to I don't know if you know, like the semi-analysis guys, but they create like a ranking of the different clouds. Of the bigger clouds, I would say the better ranked clouds in the space, I've been talking to all of them this week, and every single one of them says we don't have enough to sell right now. So power is the limiting factor in terms of how they can continue to grow their business. Everybody's out scouring for power all the way around the world. Now you're going to space. I don't want to talk about that, but like there's serious demand right now for the clouds that are serious. Somebody said something to me the other day in Australia I thought was kind of interesting. It's a lot easier to sell 2,000 GPUs than it is to sell 20 GPUs in the marketplace today. And I see that kind of all over the world.
Why? Is that because of the factory configuration versus?
No, because the sales process of working with an enterprise customer is just starting to dabble with, or maybe a research team just starting to dabble.
You're back of the line.
Right. Versus, XYZ organization just has a new idea for a new, let's say, world model or physical model or something like that. They get $1 billion. They want to go right now.
Yeah. So it's really prioritizing where the sell-through is.
It's still very much in research, and our observation is the world right now is about, from an infrastructure perspective, half inference, half research, and then you have a lot of organizations that are trying to figure out how to balance the same infrastructure for both workloads.
Sorry, that's today's balance, and then in the future, 80-20?
It has to get to 80-20 at some point just to pay for the investments.
I have to ask
one quick question on the last one. They're not power constrained. They're GPU constrained.
Yes.
Right. So
not just with NVIDIA. It turns out that their own internal initiatives are also kind of constrained in terms of what they can build and how quickly they can build it.
Any thoughts on how that plays out? I mean,
I don't play geopolitics.
He's going to take a pass. All right. So final question. Since we're going to run out of time, we've got to get the agent question, and obviously performance and driving the agentic infrastructure. That is where people are talking about was the value will be extracted. How are you guys seeing that? What's your role in the agentic piece? Because as more enablement comes in, many are saying that's going to be the action, including us. What's your take on the agent workloads?
So earlier this year, we announced that you'll be able to deploy agents from our system early next year. Like we want to build an agent builder that allows you to put agents directly on top of your data. I think the whole market has changed over the last 12 months or so now that reasoning models are here. Because, with the generative AI era, you basically pump a lot of data into some sort of training run, you get a bunch of weights out, and then you forget about data during the compute time, and you definitely forget about it once you've actually deployed your service. Agents need data products in order to make decisions. So now data systems become an integral part of my compute framework. And if all of that data is pre-existing within an organization, it's just waiting to be unlocked by agents, then our belief is that the world is about to embark on one of the largest technology refresh events in history, now that people realize that they need to up-level their data infrastructure to feed these new agentic systems.
So you guys are growing like crazy. You got a bunch of money in the bank. You're profitable. Are you IPO ready?
In some respects, yes. We've got all of the controls in place. We hired Amy Shapiro, who used to be CFO of Shopify. We announced that last year. She's running a very tight ship. And
Getting ready.
The business composition looks very much like the first few quarters of some of the most successful software IPOs in history. So in that regard, we could go public today. We have everything in place to go and be a public company in terms of all the teams in place and things like that. Are we reporting on a quarterly basis? Internally, the board we are, to the company we are. I think we're probably still a few quarters away from being really ready.
We got to wrap, but final question. I have to throw it out there. The DGX box is getting smaller and smaller. The AI factory is beholden the hand. Jensen's like, here's a factory in my hand. The edge. Your vision on the edge? Real quick.
It's a very, very vibrant part of our business. Well, it's becoming more vibrant, I would say, John. So we've made an announcement with Akamai earlier this year, kind of similar in vein to some of the stuff that we're doing with Microsoft, Google, and CoreWeave, where they want to build out a full edge network with VAST. We have a few other telecommunications companies that we're also going to be doing this with. So
yeah.
I see it now starting to percolate in a big way. And
an operating system has to have distributed computing nodes, edge, core, cloud.
Well, that's why we built Federation into the platform about 2 years ago. So now you can take all the places that you want to compute, your edge, your core, your cloud, your neo cloud, and they can be all one canonical VAST system where anybody that gets onto any part of the network can see all of their data. They can process all of their data. We built this think about a compute router that basically goes around the world, finds the most available resources with the most available data, and runs the compute right where the data is.
Well, we'll put a pin in that. We'll have to come back and do a deep dive on the edge. Jeff, great to see you. Thanks for coming on. Congratulations on the momentum and future IPO. We'll see you before then for sure.
You will.
I'm John Furrier, Dave Vellante. We are here at Supercomputing 2025, our 4th year in a row, unpacking now the AI Supercomputing Show. We'll be right back with more after this short break.